Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet, and today we have our technical assistance call scheduled. It is for the DHS Youth programs, and we have just a couple of things on our agenda. So I want to make sure that Brandon can answer your questions. He has not joined us yet, but I did talk to him this morning, and he is planning on joining us. So what I'll do in the meantime is talk a little bit about one of the things that he and I discussed in our admin team meeting this morning, and that is that he wants success stories. So success stories can be added to the system that will promote your program, what you've done to help the youth in your program. And from the partner page, from the DHS Youth Partners page, you can scroll down here, and right smack dab in the middle, just below these 4 circles, is the space where you can go add a success story. Now, every success story does need an image. So you want to make sure that you've got an image of your participant, or maybe of the employer if you're putting in an employer option. But just make sure that you've got a good story. And if you need some tips on how to write a good story, we can help you with that. We can, if the participant wants to write it in their own words, just make sure that it's clean and that the grammar is understandable to someone. I know that some areas might use, or some youth might use, slang that might not be understood by everybody. So we want to try to make sure that it's understandable by everyone that would read it, because we want this to show the best of your programs. So when you click on this button, it takes you to the success story guide. All you have to do is log in to submit a success story. So if the youth wants to do it on their own, they would log in using their participant number. Gina, can you mute yourself, please? And then if you want to log in to talk about an employer, or the employer can log in if they have their own user profile, or you can log in and submit a success story for either of them on their behalf. When you do that, if you do log in and submit a story on behalf of someone else, it will ask you to log in and make sure that you follow the directions, because at the top of the page, it says who's submitting the story, and then it asks you for the details about the success entrant that you are putting the information in about. All right, so that's success stories. If you need to look at a little PowerPoint there, you can do that. We do have some tips down here. You want to tell a good success. What did they benefit from by using your program? So that's on the partner page, and you want to try to submit. I think Brandon's asking for 1 a quarter, but if you have more to submit, you're welcome to do that. Now, if you want to see the success story after you've submitted it, just to make sure that you're not submitting the same person, if you go to Illinois WorkNet, and from the main menu, it shows under the updates and help, it shows success stories right here. And if you go to the success stories, it will say find local successes. You can need to wait for this to filter a little bit here. You can also submit a success story from this page. All right, it's taken a hot minute to load here. You can select participant type. So if you want to look for participant, and if you want to select the program, you guys would be IDHS Youth programs. You can filter by some additional filters that are available, but I would suggest just hitting search and seeing who actually shows up in your program. So we've got some success stories in here. Oh, that's a nice picture of Cameron with his yellow bow tie. And so you can look through them to see who is already in there. We don't have a ton of success stories in here, so it might pay to put up a success story for your program, just so that it shows it off a little bit. That way you can then guide your potential participants to say, hey, here's some success stories that we've had with our program. You might be one of the next ones. All right, any questions about success stories? Nope. All right. The other thing that we wanted to tell you about is when we have participants in our programs, there's often times when they leave you and you have no idea that they've left you, but all of a sudden they're talking to another provider about participating in the program. Maybe they think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, or maybe they just didn't like you and didn't know how to tell you that, or maybe they moved and they're no longer near your location. So there's a myriad of reasons why they may no longer be with your program, or maybe they participated last year and now it's a new year and they don't think that they can come back to you. So one of the things that you need to do, and one of the things that we're going to be counting on the performance once we get it updated, and I'll tell you, Avi's back from and working on the performance, the PPR, and it's looking super. And we're hoping that by the 15th, we can give you a little bit of a demo because he's getting the pieces and parts connected up. And I apologize for not having it ready for you for January, but we can't, we have no control over what happens in the external parts of our lives. And he had to spend some time out of the country to take care of an ailing family member. So what we want to do is we want to look at our programs. We want to figure out how to discharge a participant. So I'm going to go here to Karen Jensen. And this is good if a participant has unsuccessfully completed or if they have successfully completed. You can do it for either. If the person is going to continue on next year, say they were a summer youth participant and they still have some eligibility left for next year, or not, maybe not eligibility, but subsidized wage days remaining, and they can participate next year, then you do not have to discharge them. Should they go to another organization, I may go in and discharge the youth because maybe there wasn't enough communication going back and forth between you and the participant. That's oftentimes what happens, is you lose touch with that participant and they feel left out. They feel like you don't care about them anymore, so they move on to another organization. But on the progress page, what we want to do is we want to be able to discharge the youth. So once you have enrolled them and you're done serving them, maybe they got full-time employment, they don't need you any longer, maybe they flaked on you and you have no way of contacting them, you can discharge those people. And if you mark them as discharged, there are a number of reasons that you can select. And if you select one of these reasons and then click save, that discharge, let's say youth employed no longer needs services, we save that. And then it will show in the discharge history. Let me click here one more time. And it will show that you discharged the person, that they no longer needed services, and when you performed the discharge, and then who performed the discharge. And we will be pulling this information to help in the reporting, just in case Brandon or anyone else from DHS needs to find out some details about how many people have been discharged. So do we have any questions about discharging a participant? All right, I will ask if there are any questions now about anything that I can continue recording. If there are no questions of that nature, then I'll turn off the recording and we can go from there to see if there's any questions that I need to take the recording off. So are there any general questions for the good of the cause? I do know that the next IYIP meeting is scheduled for February 17th. And we have our TA call 2 days before that. So I will not be participating in the February IYIP meeting. Don't see anybody typing. Does anybody have any questions that we need to stop the recording for? If so, type in the chat that you do have a question that we need to not record. You guys got this all under control now, right? You're doing great. I did get an email from one of the agencies that they were not able to select the DHS Youth career plan in Implement 101. So I do have to get that to the programmer. I will get that taken care of.
Dee, I have a question, if that's okay.
Sure. Is it something that I can continue to record?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is Beth from Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center, and I'm pretty new to all the systems. And I was looking at the PPR with Sharonda, and we had a question about placement completed. So if a youth worked for us through June and July, has not completed the 180 hours of subsidized, we plan to work with them again in June of this 2022. Would you consider that placement completed or not yet, because we want to continue services?
That's more of a Brandon question, but I would say that it's not completed because they haven't finished their 180 hours.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought, but just want to make sure.
Because I know that 180 hours is the magic number.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and no more than 13 weeks too, right?
That's another Brandon question, but if it's a subsidized work placement, I would almost say yes, because it's counting the days, and you can have so many days of subsidized wages, which is, I believe it's 90 days.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For summer youth, it's 90 days. For category 2, and that's 270. And then for category 3 and 4, that's 365 subsidized days.
Okay. We're
category 1, right?
Right. That's right.
Okay. So then that's 90 days.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome. I learned a little bit from being on this side of the computer. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to end our meeting today. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again on the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. So have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.